Pandaroo and the Sage. Emenei is a traveler from the planet Naranja, and she has not yet visited many worlds in her time since existing. Emenei's people were visited by the Thing many eons ago and have learned much about their universe and the multiverse beyond. Not long ago, the Thing had decided to usher the Norrenhanians into the age of interstellar travel to help introduce their universe to the multiverse beyond. This was only Emenei's third trip to a new world, and she was excited to visit Pandaroo to see all of the wonders it had in store. The Norrenhanians were now responsible for visiting all of the intelligent species of their universe, and while they were on Pandaroo, they would share their planet's culture and knowledge of the multiverse as the two planets embarked on the new frontier. It was a cold evening on Pandaroo, and Emenei was staring up into the sky, taking in all of the new constellations and astral bodies that filled the sky. It was overwhelming to her, and she felt a pressure in her chest as she imagined all of the places she has not yet seen or experienced. Tomorrow they would visit the Pandaroo capital city of Panas. There would be a great celebration with food, dancing, and culture sharing between the Panasians and the Norrenhanians. Pandaroo is filled with many cities of great distinction, each with its own culture and practices. The people of Pandaroo are very welcoming and eager to share their diverse cultures with the Norrenhanians. The Naranja visit to Pandaroo was the first phase to set the stage for universal cooperation in the universe. That night Emenei could hardly sleep a wink, and as soon as she saw the sun peering through the window, she jumped out of bed and ran to the commons to get some breakfast. Emenei eagerly discussed her excitement with a few of the others that were up early and couldn't wait to start the trip to Panas. It would be several hours yet until the caravan was ready to depart, and Emenei couldn't wait to start exploring. After breakfast, Emenei decided to go for a walk and see what she could find. The Naranja were staying in the small town of Emenei not far from where they landed, surrounded by rolling hills of wheat, jungles, orchards, and mountains. It was one of the most beautiful places Emenei had ever seen. The town consisted of consecutive circles of stone paths that are lined with natural huts, each with their own crops planted on the roofs and fruit trees dispersed between them. The people of Emenei are a resourceful bunch and trade amongst themselves to meet all of the needs of their community. At the center of the community is a large circular building where the community gathers to share their resources and trade with others. On each side of the circle there are paths that reach out into the spaces beyond the community. There is a path to the west that leads to the orchards, a path to the east that leads to the rolling hills, a path to the north leading up through the mountains of Pathos and to the many cities of Pandaroo, and finally the path to the south that enters the vast jungles. While Emenei was out for her walk spiraling through town, she made her way to the city center and met a man by the name of Bosan. A merchant of fine goods and rare foods and a father of 5, Bosan spent most of the summer months in the city center selling the goods that he and his wife Utawi would purchase during their winter travels of Pandaroo. Bosan and his family would spend 5 months traveling west, stopping at all of the major cultural centers along the way and collecting all of the rarities that they could to resell back home. Bosan, being the salesman that he is, immediately noticed that Emenei was new to the area and took it upon himself to engage her in conversation.
"Greetings, fine being from another land,"
Bosan said as Emenei was passing by.
"What delicacies have you had the privilege of experiencing thus far in your visit to Pandaroo?"
Hello, kind sir, what do you mean?
"Ah, then I take it you have not had such a privilege. We have many fine delicacies here on Pandaroo that are sure to surprise and delight. Here, come into my shop and I will show them to you."
Emenei was thrilled to have someone so eager to show her the new and wonderful things that Pandaroo has to offer. She immediately walked with Bosan into the shop and sat at a small table in the corner by Bosan's direction. He disappeared into the back and in a few moments' time, reappeared with a platter of oddly shaped wheat bars, colorful fruit and other assorted foods. Emenei's eyes grew as she had never seen fruit that was so brightly colored. In Naranja the trees bear fruit of gray and brown, never anything as colorful as this. Her eyes were immediately drawn to the bright orange fruit at the center of the plate.
What do you call that one?
"Ah, yes. That is our most prized item, the chrysoberry. Maybe we should start with something a bit less expensive. Would you like to give this chrysoberry a taste? It is made of the sweet flowers of shiriri and mixed with the fruit of the kropo tree."
Yes, that sounds delightful.
Emenei replied, doing her best to be respectful and kind to her host. Just then a man with a blue cloak and 3 eyes walked into the shop and sat at the table on the other side of the room. Bosan did not acknowledge the man and continued to focus all of his attention on Emenei.
Wonderful. I will give you this crockery bar for only 7 coins if this is what you wish. But I will make an even better deal for you if there is more you would like. Maybe a hana or a piece of nifo fruit.
Just then Emenei heard an announcement over the city intercom calling for the Naranja to gather at the commons for their departure.
Thank you, kind sir, for showing me all that you have. There seems to be so much good food to eat here and I don't know where to start. Perhaps I will just take the crockery bar and that beautiful orange thing there, but I must hurry if that is not too much trouble. We will be leaving soon and I need to join my people in the commons.
No trouble at all, friend, but know that this fruit is very expensive and quite dangerous. Be very careful not to eat the seeds, they'll tear your insides to shreds. Are you sure that this is what you want?
The second warning bell chimed in the distance and Emenei started to worry she wouldn't make it in time. Emenei was not concerned about the price and was eager to experience the exotic new foods that Pandaroo had to offer.
Yes, that will be all. How much do I owe you?
That will be 29 coins.
Emenei pulled a handful of coins from her satchel, counted out 35 coins and placed them on the table. She then selected the 2 items from the platter and carefully wrapped them in a handkerchief, placing the bundle into her bag.
Thank you, sir, for your hospitality and it was a pleasure doing business with you.
Emenei said as she sealed her bag and nodded to Bosan, then spun on her heels towards the door and sprinted toward the commons. She made it back just in time as the leaders of her group were doing the final head counts and loading the Noranhanians onto the carriages that would take them north to Panas. The ride would take several hours and Emenei was excited that she had a few unique treats to keep her busy during the trip. Next to her was Mother and 2 girls containing more energy than a rick stick and louder than a mountain blast. Emenei decided to move to the back of the carriage where it was a bit quieter and she could focus on enjoying her new discoveries. The back row of the carriage was empty, except for someone sitting in the corner with a headscarf pulled over their head and they appeared to be asleep. Emenei sat down on the other side of the bench and passed the time staring out the window at the beautiful scenery. After some time, Emenei started to get hungry and decided to open her satchel and see what these strange foods were all about. She pulled out the handkerchief and unwrapped it to reveal the delicacies inside. The orange of the rind was so bright and smooth, it was like nothing she had seen before. It smelled of bright flavors and she could feel the supple juices inside. Suddenly the man sitting in the corner started to move and pulled back his headscarf, revealing his face. From the center of his forehead there was a faint glow that was growing brighter as his attention focused on Emenei. That's the guy from the shop, she thought to herself. He must be homeless and hungry if he is just now stirring as I pull out these treats.
Hi, I'm Emenei. What's your name?
She asked, eager to help the man if he was in such need to beg a poor visitor for a bite of her treats.
Hello Emenei, I am Tower, Sage of the Jungle Terra.
Hiya, Tower. Would you like to share my snack with me? I hear these are some of the best things you can find to eat in Pandaroo.
Best, I think not.
Oh well, I am looking forward to trying them nonetheless. You never know if you're going to like it unless you try.
The Sayaro fruit is nothing to play with, dear visitor. It comes from the jungles of my lands and many who have eaten from the tree have died. The taste is intoxicating but the dangers are nothing to scoff at.
Yes, I know. The seeds are poison. No worries for you, kind man. I will be careful not to eat them.
The sage knew that Bosan had not properly warned her of the dangers of the Sayaro and that she would not expect the seeds to be so small. The Sayaro must be pressed through a fine sieve to separate the seeds before consuming the fruit, and Emenei had no such device.
The fruit you possess is not meant for you, Emenei. This fruit must be carefully processed and inspected before consumed. The seeds are small, but mighty.
Emenei was now starting to get a bit suspicious that the sage was after her fruit and just wanted to scare her off from eating it so that he could have it for himself. She thought for a moment and then wrapped the fruit back in her handkerchief and placed it into her satchel once again.
I will be sure to avoid the seeds, kind sir, but for now I think I will just enjoy this nice crockery bar. Would you like a bite?
Thank you for your kindness, Emenei, but I am not in need of food.
Emenei nodded to the sage and turned herself toward the window to peer back into the endless screen of scenery. It wasn't much longer before the carriage began to slow as they approached Panas. Emenei gathered her things as she excitedly waited to exit the carriage and explore the new city. Tall buildings lined the streets and people moved in swarms through the intersection between flows of carriages and other vehicles. Emenei was in awe of the bustling streets of Panas and couldn't wait to get out there and see this fascinating new place. Emenei walked with her people to the local center where the welcome party was gathered. Loud horns trumpeted through the streets with banners and streamers flowing overhead. The people of Panas were so excited to welcome the Naranja and to meet these travelers from a foreign world. Children were running up to her and pulling at her dress, jumping up and down with excitement. Emenei danced with them as they made their way toward the center of the city. The city center's circle here was much bigger than that of Emenei. So many more vendors and people all around. Not once had Emenei ever been to such a bustling place before. The crowds were overwhelming and the noises immense. After several hours of music, speeches, and dancing, Emenei needed a break. She made her way away from the center of the city out through the rows of consecutive circles, eventually making her way to a quiet space between two of the circular roads that looked to be a natural space between the rows of buildings that were rippling out in every direction. There were ponds and trees, flowers, and other plants of great beauty that Emenei had never seen before. She meandered over to a patch of short grass near the fish pond and listened to the sounds of crickets, birds, and the music of the city center off in the distance. The park was mostly empty, with most of the city's residents at the city center. Emenei felt a great deal of calm and joy as she sank into the grass and cleared her mind. Just then Emenei remembered the sayaro fruit in her satchel. She opened her bag and took out the handkerchief, unfolded it and gazed at the beautiful sayaro once more. After giving it a good sniff, Emenei tore the fruit in two, revealing the bright green insides of the fruit. I thought there would be many more seeds. Emenei thought to herself. There were only a few black seeds near the middle of the fruit and it appeared that much of the fruit had no seeds at all. Little did Emenei know that the seeds of the sayaro were only black when they were ready to sprout, and most of the seeds within the fruit were still transparent and colorless. What a curious and beautiful fruit this is, Emenei said to herself. With that she took a bite of the green flesh, avoiding the black seeds at the center. The taste was powerful, sweet, and immense. It truly was the best thing she had ever tasted.
Spit it out, now.
A voice came from behind her. Emenei spun around and saw the man from the carriage, the one that was in the shop back in Emenei. She spit the fruit into her hand and looked back up at Tower.
What are you doing here?
Did you not hear me when I warned you of its dangers?
But I did not bite from the seeds at the center. I was careful not to eat the poison parts. Why are you following me? Who are you that you come and speak to me this way?
The seeds are not only in the center of the fruit, they are all throughout it. You cannot see them but the seeds are there. The sayaro fruit must be filtered well before it is consumed. If you eat it as you are you will not live to see the morning.
Emenei threw the fruit into the pond and began to spit, clearing her mouth of any seeds and flavor that was left from the sayaro. After she was sure that there was nothing left, she wiped her mouth and then cleaned her hands on her dress. She cleared her throat and regained her composure.
Thank you for warning me and for saving my life. What can I do to thank you, kind sir?
No thanks is needed. The sayaro fruit are harvested from the jungles of my land. Boson pillages them from me and sells them to the people of his village. When there are new people in town, I feel it is my duty to warn them of the dangers of this fruit, for I know that Boson will do no such thing. Be careful, young Norana, there are many wondrous things to behold in this universe, but there are many dangers too.
With that Tower turned away from the city center and from Emenei, towards the south of town and walked away. Emenei returned to the celebration, but now with the understanding that she must take the time to fully know something before taking a great big bite. Written and produced by Kerning the Truth. Illustrated and narrated with AI assistance. Learn more at www.thingverse.com, that's www.thngverse.com. Pandaroo and the Sage.